Hello, ATVS. Welcome to my show, Future Friday. In today's episode, we're going to talk about future projects, the projects that you will live to see, basically. So, what I'm talking about here is basically small changes that will cause big impact. Now, these are the things that you may not think about in your day to day life. However, they will have big impact. Basically, it will improve everybody's life. I'm not talking about like, oh, okay, it will help this or that. No, every Tom, Dick, and Harry will be helped by it. And this will help next generation to be inspired. Basically, we as a humanity are doing quite awesome. Basically, we are facing problems and we are solving it. Basically, few years ago, just few years ago, as in double digit years ago, if you have told someone that somehow India will be big enough to have 1 billion people and actually feed that kind of population without dying, people would have laughed at you. But right now, here we are and we are feeding it. And if you had told someone that New York can house the amount of people that it houses right now and is still a livable remain a livable place, people would have laughed at you. If you have told somebody that cancer will become something that we treat, not just like, okay, we'll ease your way as you are passing away. No, like we'll actually solve it if we detect it early enough, which also, not to mention, we are becoming better at. We're gonna take care of you. We're like, oh, cancer, no problem, bro. We detected it early, you're good, you're safe, a bit of hassle and you go home. So that's kind of sign, like we have solved a lot of our issue. Our previous generation, they solved a lot of issues that they had. So even our future generation will do the same. So I'm not afraid about in terms of like, okay, problems. We're supposed to have problems. Every time you move forward, you will face 10 more basically unknown problems. And you move forward, you will have 100 unknowns. You move forward, you will have 1,000 unknowns. But you will never stop moving forward. So this is the reason why I'm making this video. Well, first, the dream project that every Tom, Dick, and Harry thinks about is a fusion project. And everybody thinks, because this literally is, if we can figure it out, it's a one-stop solution for our power system. The end. Basically, you can feed entirety of Earth without polluting it, without any issue. That's how awesome this technology is if we figure it out. Now, let's talk optimistically here. Now, what is the most best case scenario? Best awesome optimism scenario is like when we're gonna have first reactor that is built for power purposes, not for R&D, not for demonstration. Like, okay, somebody paid for it, they're gonna build it just so they can sell the electricity out of it and make profit out of it. When that will happen? Best case scenario, the best case scenario, like it's 2050 and that would be the first reactor. Will that happen? I do not think so, simply because after studying the reactor closely. Now again, I'm not a nuclear physicist, so when I say closely, I simply means I am looking at the parts and their counts and their budget. I'm not going into the like, okay, this is how they are handling the neutron flux and all that. That's beyond me. But like, just okay, this is how much you are spending to make this. The reality is very serious. It is idiotically expensive. Now you may think, isn't nuclear fission reactor also expensive? Yes, still fission reactor can be made at home if you have nuclear material. Again, it won't be safe, and I strongly urge you to not to do so. But you can see fusion reactors in college universities. You can see fusion reactors built on a submarines. Like, it is cheap enough that we can build it, and it can be built with 1970s technology. It is not a complicated technology. We can do it. It's just that the reason I don't like fission is simply because it creates a waste that you cannot do anything with. It's like, we are burying it, and the burial site that people have chosen for deep long-term burial is 500 meters deep. I'm like, we dig deeper than that for mining purposes. At least go deeper than that. So flat out, we cannot do anything with it. It's just the waste that it creates. We cannot do anything with it. And nuclear power plants are 100% error intolerant. Basically, you make an error, everybody dies. So that's why I don't like it. It's like, we are humans, we will make mistake. I'm not talking about grand conspiracy and all that. It's just that you make a mistake, everybody dies. That's not acceptable to me. It's like, that just error. I'm not talking about okay, somebody had deliberate design flaws, or somebody made a stupidity, hoo-ha and all that. I'm talking like, if earthquake happens, your reactor goes boom. If a tsunami happens, your reactor goes boom. Like, your reactor is like boom, boom. Like, there is no reactor that has quote unquote fail safe, because the more you research it, more you realize, wait a minute, your fail safe means it's supposed to be cold for 74 hours. Like, that's the fail safe term. Like, if you shut down the reactor, it's supposed to be having coolant circulating around it after shutdown for 72 hours. I'm like, that's not safe. So I mean, like, that's what happened in Chernobyl and in Fukushima. So, and not to mention, let's say somehow you manage to contain a reactor. How the heck you gonna deal with the nuclear waste, which you have to contain for thousands of years? So flat out, fusion is just like, no. Fusion is not suitable for humans. We make mistake. So it's not suited for us. Now, what about these puppy? Now, fusion, while it has some hazard, This has one hazard, that this reactor will be very radioactive, because you will get insane amount of neutron flux, which is radiation, which is gamma radiation, and that what will be used to boil the water and make the steam. So you will have a lot of radiation. This panel will become radiation. The only benefit will be nothing will come out of it. Basically, you send hydrogen in, you get helium out, that's it. None of those will be radioactive. However, the chamber inside will be radioactive. So this will be like, whatever the chamber mass was, that would be your radioactive material that you have to take care of. Much less compared to, like, hundreds of reactor that just turning on them like creates much more radioactive decay than we have to deal with. So, and no continuous, like that's it. The wall will be the radioactive part, that's it. And the parts that are go into making this is superconducting, highest grade superconductor that we could ever make. And the materials used here, like those alloys that people are using here, it's like all of those alloys will cost $1 million a ton. So basically it's expensive beyond belief. Like Hubble telescope will start to look cheap, scratch that. James Webb telescope is cheap compared to this. Basically it's that complicated. So even if, let's say, we figure it out how to make something, at 25 million degrees Celsius, which is the lowest feasible temperature we can achieve, because sun does not have as hot of a core as this. But how the heck that it fuses? It has gravity working. It's like it has gravity plus the temperature, so it's like YOLO. In case of Earth, we do not have gravity control, so we have to use heat. So the only way we have to heat is using magnetic confinement. Magnet, plasma, they work together and we heat it up. So we have to heat it up to 25 million degrees Celsius to achieve this. Now here's the problem. That is deuterium tritium. That is basically fancy type of isotope. So one of them is very easily available, another one is a bit tedious, but again available, it's manageable. Best case scenario would be that we somehow increase the temperature to 30 or 35 million degrees Celsius, because at that temperature we will reach a point where you can use hydrogen. Basically your reactor full literally would be water. Just take the water, electrolyze it, take the hydrogen, not some fancy isotope. Now that is the reason why I laugh at people when they say we're gonna have helium-3. Helium-3 requires 75 million degrees Celsius. Like we have hard time like reaching 25 million degrees. Like the world record is like 10-second record, 15-second records, 30-minute record. I'm like, whoa. Our current reactor is working for 40 years and this is your record after working 80 years into this. So flat out is way too damn expensive. Now the problem with this you might say, okay, this is a long-term gamble. The amount of money we pour into this way too much. It's like hundreds of billion. It's not 1 billion, not 2 billion, not one country, not two country, every country, even my country, India, Pakistan, China, every Tom, Dick and Harry is pouring money into this. So that's the problem. Like at this point in time, I'm like, wouldn't that be better spent if we spent it on solar? I mean, like solar cannot solve our problem. If we spend that kind of money, yes, it will solve all our problem, because let's say we take example of India. Now India has a lot of power requirement during the daytime. It's hot, we consume power like there is no tomorrow. So do we have a surface area where we can plant this kind of solar panel? Yes, we have Thar Desert, basically more than enough surface area to provide 100% of electrical consumption, however it will be produced during the day. So what do we do at night? Now India has a very strong backbone of hydropower. On top of that, many new gas turbines are being made for running on natural gas. Benefit of those puppies are those are throttlable. Basically you can tone them down or increase them up. So basically you will keep them running, you don't want to turn them off. Starting them again will take much longer time. Again, older ones used to take 30 minutes to start. Right now the modern one, General Electric one, I think starts at 14 minutes and they can ramp up, ramp down very quickly nowadays. So you will have those plants, they will be working at low power, your hydro dam will be working at low power, and during night they will open, like the floodgates will be open in the dam. Again, will be a new attachment and we can take care of the night time, and we can sell the overbuilt electricity during day to China to make profit, or we can have simple power agreement. It's like, because the surface area is so huge, you can, if your solar farm is built into China, it will receive sunlight while it's night in basically India. So during that time transition period, you can increase from 12 hours to like 14 or 15 hours. Basically you can get even longer than that if you like really spread it out. So we can do a lot of that. On top of that, there was another issue early days, is that even if you can make a solar farm or make a power plant, you cannot transfer that electricity from point A to point B without losing 100% of it. Basically AC power, high supply power demand, cannot go thousands of kilometers, it can only go to few hundred. So we developed what we call high voltage DC transmission. Now it works. It has been tested. It has been tested in India also. It's not like, okay, some magic technology. No, it has been tested, and we know for a fact that this allows transfer of power more than 3,000 kilometers. Basically, it can take power from Rajasthan to South India, basically the furthest part. So we know how to do this. So that's the whole point. That's the one thing that kind of boggles me. It's like this reactor, best case scenario, it does not work. Reality scenario, it even if it works, it will cost so much money that very few countries can actually afford it on their own. And if we pour that kind of money into like solar farms, and we can lay down foundation of how to make solar farm. There is another technology on solar farm end that uses particle accelerator to make cells. Benefit of that is that we have basically ingot, like one giant silicon ingot. Now problem is that we have to saw it. So sawing it creates waste again. So somebody can come up with the idea, use basically we only need few atoms thick, so use a particle accelerator. Controlling is basically output. You can have particles dump their energy into 2 layers thick atom. Basically the layer would be so thin, it will be 2 atoms thick, and you can just slice off because the energy will separate it on a molecular level. Benefit, the same ingot that will, let's say, give you 1 panel worth of cells will give you 3 panels worth of cells, or at least 30% more at early stages. Once we improve the technology, it will get done. So again, right now that will help everything. So should we spend money on this or solar system? Because right now we can take care of the solar system. Right now it will reduce our carbon emission right now. So that is the one thing that I'm unaware of, is basically, is it worth to spend this kind of money into this? It's like, because we haven't achieved it. And some scientists say the core reason that these projects are becoming useless is simply because there is no competition. Earlier, as in like 1970s and 80s, every Tom, Dick and Harry was making breakthrough. Like you will have China make this breakthrough, Russia will make another breakthrough, basically France made another breakthrough. Everybody was making breakthrough. But the moment everybody was put together in one place, no competition, and everybody's like, eh. So some scientists are saying that is the reason why we are not gonna ever have fusion. So if it figures out, it will solve our problem. But again, it's like, should you wait like last moment to apply emergency brake, or should you like start slowing down your car right now? So that's up to you. So this one, I'm not that optimistic. Now let's talk about self-driving cars. Now this will happen. Unless something extremely bad happens, this will happen undeniably. So now this will happen by 2050, not before that. Now here's the deal. This is the core reason why I hate Elon Musk. Is like his mind is awesome. He works, his job is awesome. He does good things. It's just he oversells it. It's like, it's the worst kind of doctor. It's like, ask a doctor why they have to make sure that they always perfectly sell you, like not oversell, not undersell. So that will happen by 2025. Now we are not near yet. Yeah, basically right now we cannot make it. Don't even think about it. Don't even assume it. We cannot make it right now, as of now. The reason for that is like the amount of information that computers process. It's awesome. One person made a very awesome, I will provide video down below, is that it's almost like a 15-year-old driver that is trying to get a driving license. The human brain is evolved. Like it took time. Like it took its sweet time evolving, millions of years evolving. So we are really great at unsolvable problem. Like if you give us something and we can quickly make a decision, it will not be right one, or it may be a correct one, but we will make the decision. A computer get stuck in an impasse because somebody has to code it that okay, it's okay to be in impasse scenario. So that is the another aspect of it. There is, because I studied philosophy, I understand this BS is basically they want to create an unsolvable paradox, and then it's like, hey, what your computer will do? Nothing. Like I'll give you a classic example, the trolley problem. You must be aware of it, but I'm gonna give a very quick overview. There is a trolley. If you don't do anything, 5 people die. If you do something, 1 people die. So what do? Here's the deal. It is an unsolvable problem by design. By design, it's unsolvable, because the moment you say, okay, I'm gonna switch the train, they will say like, okay, the person you executed was basically a doctor that's gonna save lives, and the person that the 5 people, they were like bad things, or Hitler or something like that. So you see, by design, it's meant to be unsolvable. You cannot solve like this. And whenever humans go through accident, most of the time humans made the same mistake, because you cannot be like, let's say you see a bus that has 1 driver in it, and you see a, let's say, family van which 5-6 kids with a good family, everything is good about that. But here's the deal. If you are in a scenario where you have to hit one of them, you will hit the car most of the time. Why? Because in those sort of scenario where it's like momentary moments, your brain go to primal mode. In the primal mode, bigger things are bigger threats. So you'll see the bus, I shall not hit the bus. Like unless you know the people, know the face, that overrides your primal instinct. Like that's my tribe, I have to make sure that they survive, then only you will do that. So in reality, these things are unsolvable. So people have to let go of this. It's like, oh, what will happen if that happens? Unsolvable things. It's meant to be BS. Let it go. Another aspect is hype. Because of the Tesla accident that happened, that was like solely driver's fault, because again driver bought into the hype, even though the software flat out said, dude, have your hand on your steering wheel. Here's another problem. This is problem with human psychology, is that if somebody says, okay, just keep your hand on the steering wheel, like you will start thinking of something else, you will not be aware of it. So even if you saw for a moment, okay, my car is gonna hit the divider, it will take you much longer to respond to it. So basically you will be after the accident. So that happened. And why did that person die? Hype. Tesla hype, the hype that the self-driving will happen 2018, self-driving will happen 2019, self-driving will happen 2020. It's nowhere near. It's nowhere near. Like, we are very, very, very damn good at solving unsolvable problems. Again, we do not do the perfect job, but we do solve it. Computer gets stuck in those sort of scenario. And not to mention, computers are like getting even more stuck because there is like, a more unsolvable BBS. So like what to do, prison bus or this or that. Like, no, just let it go. So self-driving car will happen. Only two things can kill it, is overhype, and that hype can cause a lot of loss of life, and government will simply give up. It's like, yeah, just shut it down, which they are already trying to do. And I do not blame them. It's like, people die and people, we want action. Like, what do you want? Like, that's how happened. Like, we had hundreds of dead body before we reached a point where, seat belt is something that has to be included. So again, it takes time, it takes cost of blood, but we don't want to pay that. So again, that could kill the system. And not to mention, people have to be kept away from, like, especially philosophy people, they have to be kept away from this. They are the only two things that can end a self-driving car. But it will happen by 2050. Not right now, but 2050, it will happen. Now, moon landing. Now, this is a thing that will happen, redo in 2040. Now, why 2040? Here's the deal. A rocket takes time. Very long time. Elon Musk is a known guy for, like, his timeline is a joke at this point. I mean, it's like, Elon timeline, it's a joke, and I understand that. Like, that's why I said, like, his work is awesome, his mouth needs duct tape. Basically, this guy is the biggest threat to himself. So, and one thing you have to understand, SpaceX does not make enough money right now. Like, they are a profiting company, but again, that they are private, so they can run on loss for very much longer time. And not to mention, they get most of their money from basically NASA, from commercial resupply mission, and soon they will be giving even bigger money from commercial crew program, basically once they start sending astronauts. However, compare that to NASA. NASA has everything. Basically, it can manage the rocket, it can manage the launch site, it can manage the flight path, it can manage the space assets, it can manage the astronaut department. This puppy does not have any of those things. So basically, even though SpaceX, let's say, builds a BFR, they do not have the people to put into that. Basically, they do not have the astronauts. On top of that, NASA is solely focused on making another BS thing known as Lunar Gateway. Basically, they will waste their 2030s into that. So again, it's a governmental thing, so it will be stretched. So more than that, so 2040 is optimistic here. It will happen, but 2040 is optimistic because most of the money will be wasted into Lobchi. Lobchi is 100% useless. But I will not go into that. I made a video already about it. It's 100% useless. Even the people like who are dealing with this, like, why? Just land the damn thing. So again, unless NASA pays for that, SpaceX cannot do anything. However, SpaceX, realizing that, they are building what we call Starlink project. Now, if that project works out, if their target is like by the time they have 500 satellite nodes, they will start to have some income, and then they will put that income into making more satellite, more profit, higher the profit percentage. Then they will have more than enough money. They can do Mars mission on their own. They can have their own astronaut wing, own flight controllers, all of that. Right now, they are nowhere near. Right now, they are nowhere. If like tomorrow NASA pulls away, they are like, yeah, we are stuck. So they can make Falcon 9 profitably, but because NASA put the original R&D money into it, right now they are not in the same place right now with BFR, and NASA does not even want to invest in BFR. The simple reason for that is NASA does not want to get stuck on one company. They do not want to make the same mistake with space shuttle. So that is why they are pouring all their money into Boeing. They want to have 3 launch vehicle: Orion, SLS from basically NASA, and then have Dreamliner from Boeing, then have basically Dragon and Falcon from SpaceX. They want to have 3 players, not 2 players, 3 players. That is why even if Boeing is a bit laggy with the money, they will deal with it, simply because they want 3 players. And the benefit of that will be, like, if you actually saw the footage of Saturn system, is quite good. But the highest quality footage that was ever recorded for Saturn rocket launch, pre-launch in a scenario, is done by Universal Movie Pictures. They had like the project with us, and they recorded with 70mm film, which is bigger than IMAX film. So flat out high quality. I mean, like 4K is nothing for that. Like that can be remastered to 8K with it has enough fidelity into that. So I saw that movie that was released in Apollo 11 quite recently, and if you can download that, I'd urge you. If you can buy that Blu-ray, definitely do so. You will thank me afterwards. So you can see the coverage that was done. But here's the moment you see the live coverage, it goes tracks down into quality because we could not do live coverage back then. So all the good photos are from negatives that were taken from basically spacecraft. So there is a very drastic quality difference, but if we do it now, people can see it. People can truly see rockets being tracked. People can see 4K. People can see 60 frames per second. We will have awesome thing, and that will really help people think, oh, we are not a humanity race that is going backwards. Because right now there are people alive that are like, yeah, back in my days we used to have supersonic passenger jets. Back in my days we used to land on the moon. Not now, we are not doing it at all. So it will re-inspire people. It's like, yeah, science is not some gibberish that is like, solving your life. No, it is grand. Like grandeur is necessary, because like if you have very smart people, they will not work on, hey, let's solve the sewage problem. They're like, yeah, that's too little problem to me. You say like, land on Mars, they're like, yeah, now we are talking. So you need grandeur for grand minds to work on it. Like you cannot ask, basically Stephen Hawkins to, hey, can you make a good iPhone? They're like, dude, Galaxy, bro. Like, so you have to understand, grand mind require grand projects to solve. So people will gain hope, but it will take time. It will take sweet time to get there, but you will live long enough to see it, hopefully. So this was my presentation on the 3 projects that I was thinking about, and I will make more projects as they come along. So I hope you liked it, learn from it. In that case, please click the like button. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I'd urge you to press dislike. Press it twice to show me your extra disappointment. Please leave a comment because I reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.